Hi everybody, I'm Hayley.
And I'm Kayli.
And today we're reviewing Spider-Man Back into the Multiverse again. What's this called?
I think it's Into the Spider-Verse.
See, now that we don't do our research, I don't know what the hell we're doing now.
We're just here for the vibes.
The second one.
Yeah, the second one. So yes, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know the directors, but there's 3 of them, so I'll put them here. And which is a little unusual, but I guess the first one also had 3 directors. So
how many usually just one?
It's usually 1 or 2. Sometimes there's a co-director.
It's a multiverse.
I mean, like with the other multiverse movie we watched, Everything Everywhere All at Once, there was 2.
It's because it's a lot.
So they added 1 more. And I will also go over the ratings. Rotten Tomatoes, 96%, and for the critics, 95% for the audience.
Okay.
And then for IMDb, it's 9 out of 10 for IMDb.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
then how many ratings can you see?
91,000 reviews.
Wow.
So quite a bit. It's very highly rated, this movie, which makes me feel bad for saying it was just okay. But a quick breakdown of what this movie was about. We follow Miles Morales a year and a half after the first movie. And basically we're introduced to Spot, which is the next villain that's going to be in this movie and the next one. And we're introduced to all the other spider folks. Basically, there's canon events that have to happen, and Miles isn't having it. So to spoil it a little bit, basically his dad's got to die. And he's like, no. That's it. I think that's...
And then he makes his alternate.
Yeah, he does.
And his alternate is like really cool.
He's the Prowler. Wow.
That concludes today's video.
That's all you really have to know about this. It's over.
Yeah.
But tell me, Hayley,
yes.
What did you think about this movie?
I generally liked it. I thought it was a solid movie. I like the art. Music's cool. Characters seem to be chill. It was a solid movie. I will say it's a little... the same themes that we're used to. I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking in terms of storyline or anything. So I think overall it was good.
Just good.
Just good.
Yeah.
You know, what about you? You said you didn't really like it at all, or?
No, it was fine. I think the animation was really pretty. Like, I think that's what they carried along with the first one. I think that's why a lot of people like this series, just because it does look really, visually. Yes. It's a different take on like animated films. There's a lot going on. It's pretty interesting. Storyline wise, this is what I have a problem with. I did not realize that this was going to be like a part 1.
I didn't either.
To a part 2 that's coming out next year. And so for me, it didn't work as like a single movie. So I feel like we got introduced to a lot of things in the beginning and nothing came to like a solid conclusion. And it was just all build up for the next film.
I see. Because usually you're saying there's a little bit of a closure.
There has to be. For me to really enjoy it, like the only good example I have in mind is Infinity Wars and Endgame with Avengers. Because the whole movie is about Thanos. Will he or won't he get all the stones, and will the Avengers be able to stop him? And whenever he does get all the stones and they fail at the mission, he snaps and half the place is gone. And you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? So you get a conclusion, but you don't get the final conclusion. But with this one, it's like we were introduced to Spot. We were introduced to the whole idea of canon. And we were introduced to the fact that his dad's got to die. And at the very end, we were introduced to the fact that he's the Prowler in this alternate universe. And so it's like none of that
finished.
Nothing. So there was nothing like...
We didn't really see the villain again. We just saw him do something weird in the chamber and he disappeared.
That's the other thing too. We see Spot for like the very like first like maybe 30, 45 minutes. And then he's like a little bit at the very end and that's it. Yeah. And it's like, this is supposed to be like his whole thing. But I feel like that's where I was a little bit let down storyline wise. But everything else I think was pretty entertaining. But it just wasn't my favorite. I feel like the first movie did a good job of introducing things, but not ending things. Because at the very end, a portal opens up and it's Gwen being like, hey, Miles, you got a minute? Which is kind of what happens in the second one. So it does open it to a possibility of another movie, but it still gives you the final conclusion of like, they opened up something, they got to send all these alternates home. They do, they close it, boom. You know what I mean?
There's so many multi-madness movies now. I'm like, do we need another one? And I don't know if they're gonna, my theory, and maybe this is not even a theory, maybe it's confirmed, I don't know, but it seems like they're gonna do like a big giant multiverse movie.
I know that
I know that Spider-Man, at least this Spider-Man, is not from Marvel because that's the Tom Holland version. So this is Sony, I believe. Mm-hmm. But I do know that they do kind of partnerships. Like in the last Spider-Man with Tom Holland in it, they had the original Spider-Mans kind of come in. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if with Marvel, Sony will kind of add Spider-Man in it, but it'll be like this giant multiverse because like Doctor Strange is doing it.
Yep.
Spider-Man,
Ant-Man.
Tom Holland did it, and then this Spider-Man did it, and then Ant-Man was doing it, and apparently Loki was. I didn't see that show, but apparently there's a little bit of that in Loki.
I think that's like the whole thing was like about the space-time continuum and multi.
Yes, and different realms and universes and blah blah blah. So that's my theory because it's giving a lot of stuff. I don't know. I just feel like when I keep seeing it over and over again,
it's not fun.
It kind of loses its luster. So I think. Now, the first movie, this movie came back out in like 2018, the first one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the first of its kind. So I think it's just not upsetting, but I think I was just very underwhelmed because I've seen so many multiverse movies lately. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, oh, another one, even though this one kind of was before all the other ones. But I'm just like a little bit underwhelmed, but it's not the movie's fault. And the movie kind of the first one already had that in there. So.
It's the theme that we have to keep going down.
It is. So I just had to get not past that. But I'm like, okay. Because I feel like when you first see it, I feel like the first multiverse movie that I was really like, oh, this is really cool is the Everything Everywhere All at Once. Mm-hmm. I was like, cool. And I'm sure there might have been one before that. I don't know. But that one is the one that I kind of remember being the first one as of recently. And then I just keep seeing them. So although it's cool to see a bunch of alternate characters. And I'm sure if you're more of a Marvel fan, it's cool. Because James was like, oh, yeah, that's a Spider-Man, that's a Spider-Man. So I think if you're a fan, it's cool because you get to see all characters kind of come into one movie.
It is true.
So yeah, I think for me, since I'm not like an avid comic book reader and I don't know too much about these characters outside of what they show in the movies, maybe it's just not as special to me because after a while I'm like, okay, I'm bored. Like how many times do I have to see 5 Doctor Stranges or 5 Spider-Mans and now 5 whatevers? So that's just me.
I know that we're not technically like the target demographic for this, but I was also interested because I did like the first one. So, but I mean, like, yeah, it's a shtick that kind of gets old after a while because like we had multiple Spider-Mans introduced in the first one, and then we had like they asked them, they were like, how many Spider-Mans are in this one? And they think about 280 spider people in this one.
That's a lot.
So it is a lot. But like I do like the Easter eggs for the people who do care. Mm-hmm. But it's not me. And also in the theaters, I couldn't tell what was going on half the time. Sorry. Mm-hmm. It was going by so fast. I was like, I don't know who that was. I like the horse one. And I like there's a car and a Lego. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, and then also just parts of the plot. Like I was a little bit confused on why they told Miles about his dad at all. They were like, by the way, we're going to imprison you because your dad's going to have to die in a couple days and we don't need you to go save him or anything. I'm like,
then why did you tell him?
Why did you say anything?
Yeah.
Y'all could have just distracted him for 2 days. He would have went back. His dad's dead. Like, obviously, there would be no plot. But I feel like there should have been a better way for him to find out. Like, you know, the British guy or the British Spider-Man? Mm-hmm. I feel like he could have, because at the end he was like, I'm out. I'm not here for this. So I'm like, it would be better if maybe somebody just said, hey, Miles, this is what's going on. Yeah. And like somebody revealed it to him. But the fact that the bad guy, good guy, what's his name? Yeah, he was kind of like, and another thing, we're going to imprison you.
Yeah.
Because your dad has to die. It has to be this way. I tried to do it. And I was like, we don't need that.
Yeah.
Just be quiet. So that to me, I was a little bit like, why would you even tell him?
I think it's interesting because with the first one, I had to rewatch the first one after we saw this one together because I was like, I feel like I'm missing things. And I kind of was. Okay. But I think it's a very interesting parallel when it comes to destroying the space-time continuum as it is right now for your loved ones. Because the first movie was about Kingpin. He built that collider thing so he could get his dead family back. And they're like, you're destroying the whole universe by doing this. And he's like, I don't give a shit. I want my family back. But with this one, Miles is trying to fuck up shit for his dad, which is like the opposite of the first movie. So Miles was on the good side in the first one. Now he's on the bad side with this one because he wants to save his dad. So I think it's an interesting concept of how much are you willing to lose for the person that you love? Because we all get into this, there's that moral question where it's like, there's a train and it's got to kill somebody. There you have a track full of one person or like a billion people. And you're like, well, of course I want to save the billion people because there's more. They're like, okay, what if that one person is your mom? Then it's a tougher question.
Yeah.
So I do like this dilemma that they're facing. And I think that we also don't take into the account that what the other spider people are trying to do, especially Miguel, was also break the canon. Because it seems like when that person died, Spider-Man was there. So like the whole canon event is like the dad or the cop saving the kid.
So you're saying he might have had to be there.
That's what I'm thinking. But them trying to stop him from being there is also kind of breaking canon.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like Spider-Man was there the whole time.
Yeah, which is probably why that they didn't want him to. Because I think that's why they didn't want him to come with him in the first place. Because they needed him to stay in his universe.
Yep.
But I feel like they could have come up with a better way to get him kind of back to the universe. Because if you're saying he needed to be there, then yeah, your point of them locking him up. Unless they were going to put him there, and just hold him hostage.
I don't think they are thinking of it like that either. Which I feel like they should, especially Miguel. But I feel like that's why it ended up the way that it had. Well, it has to go that way, where he has to be present to see the cop dying because he was trying to save the kid or whatever. Because I think that's what the whole point was. We saw all those Spider-Men holding the captain, and like that wouldn't happen if he wasn't there for it. So. But they were trying to break canon so that they could save the canon at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't get how Miles was the one, because they said he was already an anomaly because a spider was brought in. But I'm like, okay, so when does it start to actually mess things up? Because it seems like a bunch of stuff is already whack. And I'm like, so is his dad dying going to be the final thing? Because like Miles is already an anomaly because the spider bit him from the other universe. So I'm like, that didn't throw anything off? Because it didn't seem like it threw anything off. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess
I don't know.
You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, well, that didn't mess it off. Miguel literally went and took over a whole nother version of himself, and it didn't work out because I think he said his universe.
Yeah, it killed that whole universe.
Okay, so I'm like, okay, so that did something, but I'm like, I guess I get confused on what actually set something off.
That's true.
Because it seems like a few things don't set stuff off.
Yeah.
But then this does. And then does it only kill your universe? Is he saying that all the universes are going to start to eventually...
I think it's theirs, but it could have a ripple effect for everything else. But I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, I guess I was just a little bit confused on that because I'm like, it seems like stuff has already happened that wasn't supposed to happen, and that didn't affect anything. But they're so concerned about these things happening. So I'm like, I think I would have liked a little bit of more clarification on what actually affects everybody else versus what doesn't. Because
that would be nice.
Yeah, at least for me, unless they did explain it, I just wasn't getting it. But I'm like, well, he already kind of fucked up already. So does it matter what else he does? It's already messed up. Anything he does after the point of becoming Spider-Man is not supposed to happen. Yeah. Over and over and over and over again. So, you know, his dad lives. Now what?
And then I was watching some videos about like the Easter eggs. And whenever they were talking about the spider going to the wrong universe, it was actually supposed to go to the universe that Miles ends up at. The one where he becomes the Prowler. And the person who was supposed to be bit was still Miles, but it was just that universe's Miles. Okay. And not the one that we have right now.
Because now he's a Prowler.
Right.
So I'm like, does that matter?
But I also wonder if like, so let's say the original Miles, the one that's the Prowler right now, if he was bit by the snake, the spider, if he would have been evil, would he have been a bad Spider-Man?
Yeah. Was he supposed to be the Prowler? Or was he just regular and he was going to go off and do his science stuff?
Oh, you're talking about this one that we have now.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, now see, this is what happens when we have too many Mileses. Now we're all over the place.
I'm saying it because I thought you were saying had the spider gone where we're supposed to go.
Yes.
The Miles that we're following now, would he be the Prowler?
I don't know.
I said yeah, or would he just be normal?
Or would he be just normal? I think he might probably just be normal because in that universe, his uncle was the Prowler.
Yes, and I'm thinking that,
and that was before he was Spider-Man. He was the Prowler beforehand, so I think he would have always been bad. But go ahead, what were you thinking?
No, you're right. Well, yeah, I was just thinking. I think it wouldn't have probably done much if he just didn't get bit. Yeah. Because I think the only reason why he became the Prowler in the other universe is because he didn't become Spider-Man. So, like, stuff went south, I guess, over there. And now he's all scary about that life.
Yeah. The fact that nobody was like, they didn't know that wasn't the right Miles that they were talking to. They're like, what happened to your hair? Like, his whole demeanor was different. Like, yeah.
Unless he puts on a show for his parents.
He might.
Because his parents, she's like, okay, make sure Miles runs these errands. Yeah. And his uncle was like,
his uncle was obviously.
I was like, he's literally evil.
Yeah. I don't know.
They didn't want to ask him any questions. They're going straight for killing him.
It's true. They said, oh, your dad's going to die? Mine's already dead. Yeah, I don't care.
I was like, have they seen people from other universes before? Because he doesn't seem shook at all.
They didn't seem shook at all.
They seem like, all right, we'll kill you now. I'm like, y'all don't have any questions? Or like, how'd you get here? What are you doing here? What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Nothing at all. And why the hell was Gwen? Sorry, this also was like annoying. Why did Gwen come down? Oh. You know when like Gwen came because we were confused at first because we didn't realize he'd gone to another universe.
Into a different one, yes.
So Gwen was back in his original universe and she realizes he's not there. So it's just to kind of go find him because she doesn't know where he went. But she decides to have a talk with his parents before she leaves. And she's in his jacket, coming out of his room.
All suspicious.
Looking weird as heck. And then
they're like, where's Miles? And she's like, I don't know.
Don't know. I'm like, arrest her.
You're the police.
She's taking him.
You're the captain.
Yeah, I'm like, I wish my son would go missing, and then a strange girl comes out the room
that I had just met that day.
Yes, that I met earlier, and her head shaven, so she looked real sketchy.
Oh,
she got that little swoop thing. I'm like,
suspicious.
Suspicious. Yeah, and then she's wearing his jacket. Yeah. Take my son's jacket off. He's missing. He's literally missing. Don't be disrespectful. Have some respect for this household. You're coming down here, my son's jacket. He's missing, and you're being like, I gotta find him. Man, you're like 12. Get your ass at home. We're taking you home.
Where do you live?
Literally, they're not asking enough questions. And for him being the head of police, he's not asking enough questions for me.
Not at all.
Because you're coming with me. Anyway, that was just a weird moment.
You're coming with me.
She literally just came downstairs like, hey. I'm like,
how's it going? I'm going to find him, no worries. And he loves you guys. Like, what?
I'm like, yeah, what'd you do? Get her.
I know.
Get her.
If anything, she sounds like she's guilty. I think one of the other things, I wish we would have explored a little bit more with the whole Spider-Verse, like what we were saying. Like, I wish it was explained a little bit more about what affects the universe, like the universe plural. Yeah. Because I feel like we didn't spend a lot of time.
All these Spider-Mans together doesn't affect anything.
Right.
I feel like all this is already done for. It feels like they just kind of make up their own rules.
Yeah.
We need you to do this thing at this time. It has to be done. I'm like, but y'all are messing everything up. Like, what is affecting anything? What is it called? Canon? What's canon?
Yeah, canon. The storyline.
And how is Miles escaping all those Spider-Men?
Right.
Let's be very for real. Let's be very serious.
When we were talking about it, and your boyfriend brought it up, where they're like, all the Spider-Mans are equal strength and power. I'm like, then how was he like one step ahead the whole time?
I'm like, unless they have a reason why he just is extra special.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's
and he
no
didn't even turn invisible. I was like, when is that gonna happen? Until the end, when he was sneaking around. I'm like, because that would have been the first thing I would have done. Invisible. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that whole scene was just, I feel like, just for the fans, really.
It had to have been, because I'm like, there's no way that he's escaping all the Spider-Mans at once.
And they all like just.
And Miguel is supposed to be like really powerful, at least from what they say. So I'm just like,
yeah, I don't know. I did like the part where they were crashing into the therapy session with the Spider-Man, where he's like, and then let me guess, your uncle died. Like, oh, I thought that was pretty funny. So who do you think is in the right and who's in the wrong, Miguel or Miles?
I think that Miguel is in the wrong because he's dumb. Oh. No one told you to tell Miles anything. And how you let that man escape. So Miles is in the right because he's getting away with it. And he shouldn't be able to be getting away with it. And Miguel is wrong.
I feel like we could challenge it. Because if Miguel really is the anomaly, then how come he can't challenge the things that are going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, why does it have to be that his dad has to die? Does he have to really lose him? At this point, lose the little kid. Ooh, I'm sorry.
Lose the little kid?
But if you have to choose.
Which little kid? Oh, you mean the one that they're always somehow saving?
Yeah. At this point, it's like, well, where's the parents?
Well, isn't the point of parallel universes and stuff is that
some things are different?
Yeah. Like, I'm like, why is it that there are things that are off, but isn't parallel universes and like all that stuff, it's supposed to be like what you do if this was different, if you made this decision. Like, there's a universe where I'm a famous actress or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't get that. Isn't it supposed to be where there's different stuff happening? Because that's just how it is. Why does everyone follow the same life? It's like the same pattern. But I'm like, every other film I see, they went on a completely different path. And they didn't all do the same thing. So I'm just like, the whole
thing with Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's like she had different life paths. Like she did something differently, which is why she had different powers in some situations. Like in one situation, she was able to make movies, but she didn't have her husband. In other situations, she did this. But I guess maybe we just don't see. There's a whole bunch, I'm guessing. So maybe we just don't see the universes where things were a little bit different.
Maybe it's just different rules for this movie.
That's true too.
Because I was like, I guess in my mind, I'm like, wasn't that the point of all these other universes? Is they're all different? Like, why are we all following? Who is driving? Where's God at? Because it seems like there's somebody specifically trying to make all these the same thing. I'm like, why? Yeah. Why do we need to do any of this? They said it messes up everything. I'm like, but what's the point of having all these different universes if y'all just follow the same story? Boring. Not boring, but I'm like, boring. Like, why is it all the same stuff?
It's true.
And then is it the dad? But it's not always the dad. It's always the chief.
It's the captain.
Okay. Because somebody was like, it's the one that's close to them. But I'm like, but in the Mumbai world or the Mumbai city,
It was his
girlfriend's dad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he would have been sad, but that's not like his family member. No. So I was just a little confused.
I mean, even with Andrew Garfield, like it was Captain Stacy, which is Gwen Stacy's dad. Mm-hmm. So it was his girlfriend's dad too. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like, I think it's just they are close to them, but they're not the most important person. Like they have some kind of relationship with that person where them dying would have an impact.
Yeah, but dad, that's not the same thing.
The dad? Oh, no.
Yeah, like your friend's dad passing versus your dad passing are two different things.
Yeah, it definitely is. And
like,
then
it's still sad.
But... And then you have the whole guilt of not being able to save both of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a big impact for them for sure. Mm-hmm. But it does suck that he would have to lose both his uncle and his dad.
Well, I'm like, that's why I was like, he already lost his uncle. Yeah. But they're like, no, you have to lose again. I'm like, yeah, every time.
But also with Peter Parker's, they don't have parents. I don't know what happens to Peter Parker's parents, but his parents are like gone or dead.
Yeah, I think they passed away.
Because he's always living with his uncle and his aunt, which is why he doesn't have a dad to die as a captain.
Yeah, I think the captain's just the captain. Mm-hmm. Or it's somebody's dad. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't know. Mm-hmm. I don't read those comics.
Not at all. What do I look like? A reader?
No. A nerd. It was a solid film.
It was solid. It was just... It wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't know that there was going to be a second one. Mm-mm. And so, or a third one. So I wasn't expecting it to be like open-ended to the next part. Yeah. I think
Spot, it was getting good.
It was. And that's why I was
getting really good.
I was very concerned. I was like, it feels like we've been in this theater for a while, but they're introducing a lot right now.
Yeah, I was like if they wrap this up in 10 minutes, I'm going to be pissed.
For real, then it's going to be really bad. Yeah. So I'm glad they did it, but it just... I feel like it wasn't a cohesive story. We spent too long doing some things, but we didn't go into detail enough for me to like get the impact of this whole Spider-Verse. Why does it have to be? If he's already an anomaly, why does he have to follow the rules?
That was my question. And I wish that they dove in more into the background of the villain. I feel like they're going to make him really powerful. And I feel like I understood his motive, but I didn't care for his motive. Like I did not care about that villain. Even after he started getting more powerful, I feel like sometimes like they just were doing stuff. And I'm like, I didn't really feel for Miguel. I didn't really feel for the villain. Like, I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to be kind of having sympathy for these characters, but I feel like it was just so quick. And they're just like, here, and we have this and this and this. And I just feel like I couldn't really get into it.
There was a lot going on.
It was. And I forgot about the villain for the longest time. Because all of a sudden, no one cares about the villain. I'm like, honestly, yeah, no, I get it. His dad needs to die. But the bigger issue is the monstrosity that y'all saw like 2 days ago. And somehow that wasn't enough. We like didn't even touch on that. They're like so obsessed with.
That's true.
I'm like, are we going to attack this issue?
Right. What's going to happen to that? So after he does destroy Miles's universe or whatever, what then? How do you stop
that's
this man
gonna mess
from
everything? Yeah, that's why I was like,
else?
I feel like they just threw the villain to the side a little bit so they can kind of get the other storyline going. But I'm like, that's the bigger problem here. I don't care about the other stuff because nothing else matters if the whole universes are collapsing because the Spot Man is running around. Because I'm like,
man.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. So to the point, I'm like, everything seems to be out of whack because the Spot guy is not even supposed to be there because he was only created because the spider came in from another universe and it exploded and he somehow turned into the holy guy.
Yeah. It's true. I wish we would have talked more about that because he is, I think, the overall villain and not Miles, but they made Miles into the bad guy because he wants to save his dad, which I feel like if you didn't know about this canon shit either, you would want to save your dad as well. So, but also another thing, they never went back to like what was it called? The Indian city one?
Oh, Mumbai. They
never went back to that. And they were like, we might be able to fix the hole that you made, but we are not sure. And it's like, so did you fix it?
They killed the guy?
Right. Did the universe die? But like the guy, I don't know his name. The Mumbai Spider-Man. He was there at the very end whenever she got her band together and he was there and then the British dude was there and then like the people from the first movie were there too. So he obviously didn't die, but I don't know what happened to his universe. And it's like, why would you introduce something like that and not close it up? That would, you know what I mean? Now. Yeah. Like they could have just been like, oh, we were able to fix it or we were able to resolve it. But no, I don't know what happened. Are they going to bring it up in the next one? No. He's just going to be talking. He's like, yeah, my whole universe is gone, but I'll help Miles save his. Because I wasn't able to save my own.
And I thought the hole was created. I was confused. I was like, I thought the hole was created because the whole guy. They're like, no, it's just a whole other problem. I'm like, okay, there's too much going on here. Because you honestly could kick out the whole guy completely.
Yeah.
And then you would have pretty much the storyline that we saw. That's how I was just like, it's just too much going on. There's already a problem, but there's a side problem.
Yeah.
But that's not coming till later. And I'm like, Okay.
And then like for them to introduce him being the Prowler in the other universe, it's like, what are we gonna do with this?
What do you want from me now?
What's gonna happen?
Like,
Like,
gonna have to escape and join
and then
up with
what?
himself.
But then whenever he does escape it, what's going to happen? Nothing. Because we're going to leave that universe alone, right? I mean, we're leaving
unless
that universe.
Unless he brings himself and his uncle and his universe to help fight. I don't know.
I guess I could, but they seem literally not bothered.
No.
Because like,
they're not even talking.
Let's say myself comes and like, oh my God, Kayli, your dad's going to die if we don't do this. I'm talking to her over here.
Yes.
Because you're here. So I'll talk to her here. She's like, Kayli, our dad's going to die if we don't do this. And I'm like, okay, you're dead first. Like, what? Like, but why? Why don't they give a shit about his dad dying?
Yeah.
Their dad dying. His brother dying.
Yeah.
They just don't care. They're like, oh, well.
They're like, it sounds like a person.
Sounds like, yeah, your universe problem, not mine, bitch. He's like, my dad already died. Go ahead and lose yours. But what do you rate this movie?
I give it a 3 out of 5.
Oh, nothing else.
That's it. I said everything. 3 out of 5. I think it was overall solid. I don't think it was like the best film I ever saw, but I mean, it was cute. It's a kid's movie. It's cute.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good film. Good movie.
I would say the same. I would also say 3 out of 5. 3 out of
again.
5. Because I think I did like the first one a little bit more, which I gave it 3.5. I rewatched it, and I think it's a little bit better. But I mean, I think the visuals really do carry this, and I feel like that's what people are really excited about are the visuals. So they don't necessarily really care about the movie or the plot line itself, as long as it looks really good and it's intriguing to watch. But I mean, I'm excited to see how it will wrap up, but not excited enough to go into theaters.
I feel that. No, I feel like it's like that with a lot of movies, and I feel bad. But I'm like, I think since we can watch so much stuff at home, and now that we're doing more series, like I feel like series are becoming like even more popular than the movies, and you don't watch series in the movies, so I feel like it's kind of a cultural shift a little bit. But yeah, so we'll see. But I do feel like there's definitely a decline. I wonder how the audiences are now, because I feel like all the movies we've been to lately, like there hasn't been a ton of people. Like Spider-Man, there was. But then again, we watch like Beau is Afraid. There was not that many people in there. That was like not a super like popular film, I don't think. That movie. Anyways,
it should have stayed taken down.
Anyway.
But yeah, if you like things that were made for children, no. If you like things that are intriguing to look at, then you'll love. And confusing to look at as well.
All over the place.
And have holes everywhere.
Plot holes.
You'll love our Instagram at Hayley and Kayli. You'll also enjoy our TikTok at Press Podcast, where you can see other content and other things, where we talk about hair stuff and other things like that. And we also have a website at Press Podcast. What else do we have?
We have a YouTube channel. Did you say that already?
No.
Awesome. We have a YouTube channel at Hayley and Kayli where you can watch all of our movie reviews as well as some other movies that are not other videos that we do related to hair, lifestyle, all that fun stuff.
Yes, sir.
We also have an email at presspodcast@gmail.com where you can email us any questions, comments, concerns, any movies you want us to review there.
Let us know what you thought about this one down in the comments. Which one did you like better, the first one or the second one? Are you excited for the third one? What do you think is going to happen to his dad? Yeah, what do you think is going to happen to his dad? You think he's going to end up dying?
No, he's not. Let's be honest, he's not dying.
Honestly, it'd be kind of slay if he did.
Did you say slay?
Literally.
I mean, it would definitely be shocking because I feel like he's gonna live, and then they're gonna figure it out. And because the way that they made it seem like there has to be another way, I'm like, there's gonna be another way. So.
But there can't be. If it's really like the sake of the universe,
but
Dad's gotta go.
No, but it can be, Kayli.
It can be.
It's a kids movie.
Because like if they repaired the hole in the other universe where the captain ended up living, did they do that by killing the captain? That's what I want to know. Like, is he gonna die?
They said, "Yeah, don't you worry."
It's like
took care of that captain.
Right. That's what they did. They just threw him down the hole. And they're like, "Oh, there you go.
Ooh.
We fixed the issue." Because I wonder how they're gonna fix that. But
they're not.
They didn't even explain that. You see what I mean? We spent all this time chasing Miles through the fucking Spidey city instead of talking about what happened over there.
Yeah, I'm like, these are the real issues, people. They're out here doing the wrong thing.
They don't care. So I'm very interested to see if the dad does survive. Are they able to keep the universe, or is he just doomed to die eventually? Like, Final Destination style, where it's like they live.
Honestly, yeah, just let nature
take its course. If we gotta die, we gotta die. R.I.P. But it would be kind of cool if they did kill him off. Kind of like when Gwen Stacy died. That was shocking,
I mean, yeah.
For the people who didn't know.
Yeah, I was like, for the comic book goers 50 years ago.
50 years ago. But seeing it come, like, I never seen the movie, so I wouldn't know. Oh, my battery's dying. But, yeah, it was just kind of crazy that, you know, her neck just, and she died.
For sure.
That's crazy. So that could be to the dad, too. Be wild. But we don't know what we're talking about next time. But you know what? Stay tuned. And you'll figure it out with us. Basically, we follow Miles. I didn't know this, but it's a year and a half after the first movie.
Okay.
So it's after the first movie. Obviously, it's a sequel. Duh, sorry. Let me back up. I'm a little all over the place. I had 2 cups of coffee. So this one follows Miles a year and a half after the first one. And this one, we're introduced to the Spot, which is the next villain. And to defeat this villain, he has to meet up with all the other spider men and women and people in the spider realm. I don't know what it's called. Spider City. I don't know. Wherever they were.
Yeah. And
they're trying to figure out how to let things happen. That was a terrible, like, wrap up of this movie. Let me try one more time. Okay. I feel like that was so bad. This is what happens when I don't write anything down.
Yeah.
I'm just going off the dome.
Off the dome.
Off the dome. So